the one and only Richard Clapton. G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm really well. Listen, your producer just told me I've won $50,000.
50 grand.
I'll be in Perth on the 27th of June. I wondered if I could pick it up then.
Real music quotes. Did you win with one of your own quotes, Richard?
I don't know. How are you?
Yeah,
Good. You mentioned June 27th at the Astor Theatre. Your show is on. Music is Love. This is named after the album that you've just put out, Music is Love, 1966 to 1970. It's a bunch of songs originally done by other people that you've done beautiful justice to. This is a really good bunch of songs. Just a couple of the ones that I love. Woodstock, For What It's Worth, Southern Man, I Shall Be Released. Love, love, love. How did you narrow down the ones that, you know, you could have done to what you've chosen on this album?
Well, with great difficulty.
Yeah.
Now, Terry Blamey, who was Kylie Minogue's manager for her entire career, he retired and we just became mates. And then Terry's sort of taken me under his wing. And I had a gig in San Francisco and I hung around Mecca, where hippies call it,
Yeah.
for 3 or 4 weeks.
Sure.
And I came back and I had a night with Terry. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, Terry comes up with this brainwave of like, let's do an album of hippie anthems.
Sure.
And my first reaction was, I don't really do covers. But look, let that percolate for a few days. And I said, yeah, okay, well, let's give it a go. We spent about 2 years probably curating about 100 songs.
Yeah.
Had to cull it down. That's how we came up with this album.
Oh, well, I love what you've
Pop some
chosen.
flowers in your hair and get into it. Yeah. Hey, I got to say, mate, I mean, I read your book a couple of years ago, The Best Years of Our Lives, and Lisa and I talk about when we were 15 or 16 falling off our bikes and you know...
My Malvern style.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But you met the Rolling Stones when you were just a teenager.
Yeah.
How did you talk your way into that hotel?
Let me try and keep this really short.
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
I went to a boarding school. It was a pretty expensive school. And one of our mates, he had to be taken out of school by his mother because she couldn't afford it anymore. He actually got a media pass. He went to work for a media organisation.
Yep.
So he had a press pass. Ross, my best friend, and I snuck out of school. The three of us, well, because our mate David had his media pass, we could just check into the hotel. So we got ourselves a room underneath the floor where the Stones were.
Oh.
And we just went up. We went up first thing in the morning, and Brian Jones was sitting there with his door open.
Yeah.
He was pretty out of it. It was about 9 o'clock in the morning. He was out of it.
Yeah.
And from there, and then Keith came down, and Keith hung around for a while, and we just had this great day. But yeah, as I said, it's a pretty long story, so it's a good excuse to buy my book.
No, it's pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, was Mick a bit ruder to you than the others?
Yeah. Recently, I tracked Ross down because I hadn't spoken with quite some time.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to have this album because Ross and I, we always wanted to be Bob Dylan or be in the Byrds or something. So I reminded him of that story. He's conveniently forgotten what Jagger said to him, but I remember.
You remember everything.
But we can't say it on your program.
It's in the book.
No. Yeah, that's right.
Get the book.
If Brian Jones were alive, he wouldn't remember, but you do.
So, Richard, tell us about the show coming up at the Astor. It is called Music is Love, so I'm expecting a few songs off that album as well as other stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be split into 2 halves. So the first half will be the hippie songs, then there'll be an intermission, and then we'll come back and do Richard Clapton songs. But this one is going to be really exciting because this is going to be the band that played on the album. And they're really hard to get because 3 of them play with Jimmy anyway, so they're often really busy. So it's going to be great just having all of them together. It's a bit like a band of brothers, really.
Yeah.
It's been a real love job.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think it's going to be a really great gig.
It's got to make touring fun when you're touring with people like that you know you go way back with, and you all want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
and
only
no?
they weren't half my age. My secret my secret is I just employ a band that's half my age. But I've already given them stern warnings because they have a bad habit. They want to go on the roller coaster. They wish they were around in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, okay, boys, you go on the roller coaster, and Dad will just stand down here on the ground while you go on the tower.
And wave. Yeah.
Don't get any sleep and get on the next flight. The side of the next town. Like, leave me out of it. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Well done. Hey, Richard, you've done so much in your career and covered so much ground, but can you just take us back to when you worked, was it Underneath the Colours, one of the early INXS albums, and you've had that link with the boys all that time. Did you just know they were going to be world beaters even way back then?
Yeah, because the very first night I met them, they just blew me away. Because their manager, Chris Murphy, I'd already had a pretty long association with him, which is really how that all came about. And I arrived back from a fairly long time away overseas, and I was jet lagged, and I really didn't want to know, because he had them going on stage at about 1 a.m. in a venue called the Paddington Green Hotel in Sydney. And the way he was describing them, I went, oh, beauty, a flock of seagulls. No, I'm not, I'm going to bed. Anyway, you've heard about Chris Murphy. He's pretty belligerent. So I got to the Paddington Green Hotel, and truly there was nobody. There was 9 local drunks, middle-aged drunks. Because it was the only place in Paddington you could get a drink after midnight. So I walked in there, and it's just Murphy and me and the 9 local drunks. And then he just came on stage, and I'd already been a pro for 12 or 13 years at this stage. And, like, having been a pro, like, if you're playing to no one, you go, oh, a short set's a good set. Let's just do a couple of songs and get out of here. They came on stage, did a full set, and they were on fire, and I was just totally blown away. They were nothing like what I expected. In fact, I just found them, even that first time I ever saw them, I just didn't think there was any other band like them. I wasn't aware of any other music, like INXS music. And anyway, so I went to the dressing room after the gig, and we just hit it off straight away. In fact, I mean, we're still really close friends, especially Johnny Farris and me. I thought Johnny played at Byron Bay Blues Test with me, I think, last year.
Unreal.
So, yeah, I mean, there's still a really, really strong bond there. Speaking of young kids younger than me, that was quite a fun album to make as well.
Bet it was.
I don't know. You've read my book, so you know what I'm talking about.
Something that you've got in common with John Farris is you are known as one of Australia's bona fide greatest songwriters. What one piece of advice would you have for inspiring musicians listening when it comes to writing a great song?
Well, the major difference that I'm finding between the music of those that will, let alone the hippie music, is, I don't know, there seems to be a lot of formula sort of songwriting goes on nowadays, and I really miss the really soulful kind of songs. You know, the songs that used to really resonate with people. They really touch people's psyche. So, yeah, I mean, look, my daughter's 30 years of age, but she's been a bass player and keyboard player for quite a while, and she and her partner write a lot of songs, and I mean, we speak on a daily basis, and I'd like to Saskia, my daughter, has really got that message, because Saskia is really quite retro. She sends me files, and I'll go, oh dear, that's nice. What a funny name for a group. The Talking Heads, eh? The Talking Heads. Yeah. Thank you so much for introducing me.
We're talking about writing songs, right? Can I just be self-indulgent? Little darling, this is the end. I need you like oxygen. I am an island. Some sucker scrawled, I am an island on a city wall. One of my favourite songs of all time. I am an island. Mate, that is genius. Fanboying you right here. It's about the songwriting.
No, to be honest with you, that song took forever.
Yeah?
Because it's not my forte. Like, hard rock is not my forte. But back in 1980, I was touring with all the other Oz rock bands, and really envious that all the other bands, they had these huge songs to finish the set. And, you know, whereas I think my ending was probably Deep Water.
Deep Water,
worked fine, but I really wanted to, I just really wanted a big dramatic way to end all my gigs. So I came up with that riff, and then it was a matter of like, now what do I do? And honestly, it really took me weeks to come out of that riff, write a first verse, and anyway, I reckon it took me 5 or 6 weeks to write that song.
Wow.
Well, you pulled it off, mate. Well done. Very cool.
Brilliant.
Well, it works a treat. I mean, I've been playing that on stage ever since. And it's a great way to end it.
It's good to have a great way to end a gig.
Yeah, and it's good to have an up-tempo one.
Specifically.
For an encore.
Instead of just fading away off the stage,
Well, actually, on this tour that I'm doing, I'm getting quite excited myself, because, do you know, Say You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star by the Byrds?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to do that as the first song, because I've never had a song like that. It's about 180 BPM.
Yep.
But it's less than 3 minutes. I'm saying to the band, listen, I know it's 180 BPM, but it's less than 3 minutes. You won't die. It's cool.
If you can handle the roller coaster, you can handle this.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about all of these classic bands, mate. Roger Roger McGuinn is 79 this year, from the Birds. It is freaky, isn't it?
Stop it.
So bizarre.
Oh.
Every year I go and get my test results from my doctor.
Yeah.
Like I did last week. And I go, well, did anything show up? No. And he just gives me this mournful look.
Oh,
and he goes,
great.
And my doctor says, I don't understand you. He knows where I've lived.
Yeah. Of course.
And I'll just say, well, Jeff, do you understand Keith Richards? No.
No.
Doesn't get it.
No. Just go with it.
So
well, the
lucky.
show is at Astor Theatre June 27. Tickets are on sale this Friday at Ticketek. Richard, great to catch up with you. We really look forward to you being in town.
It was good to chat, man.
Thanks so much for talking to me.
Thanks, bud. Take care.
Thank you, Richard.
Bye.
That was great. Bye-bye.